Houseful 5 review, dual twist, double trouble. This year's biggest shocker came from a film that promised everything but delivered a mess. Sikandar. A grand title with a hollow narrative, it was a misfire that left audiences frustrated. But what truly shook Indian cinema was what followed just 2 months later. The same creator returned not just with another film but with an unconventional concept, one that challenged cinematic structure itself. What he brought back was Houseful 5. Not a typical sequel, not a reboot, but something never seen before. The same film released in two versions at the same time, each with a different ending. Yes, Houseful 5A and Houseful 5B hit theaters together. The buzz was loud, the expectations high, and the curiosity through the roof. But does the concept work? Is this a breakthrough for Indian cinema or just a flashy gimmick wrapped in mediocrity? And most importantly, is it safe for a family watch? Let's unravel this extravagant, confusing, sometimes funny, often irritating, and occasionally brilliant mess of a movie. A grand opening that promises a lot. The film opens on a lavish yacht anchored in the waters near London. It belongs to the seventh richest man on the planet and he's celebrating his 100th birthday. The guest list is elite, the champagne flowing, the music thumping. But amidst all this extravagance, the old man waits, not for celebrities, not for gifts, but for his son. Here comes the first twist. One son is already on board. But the old man awaits another, a secret son unknown to the public. Just as this revelation begins to sink in, three men arrive, each claiming to be the rightful heir, each named Jolly, Jolly 1, Jolly 2, and Jolly 3. What starts as a comic mix-up quickly escalates into a tangled identity crisis. It's classic Houseful chaos, mistaken identities, misunderstandings, and misadventures. But unlike its predecessors, this time the stakes are much higher. Because amidst the laughter and confusion, a corpse is found floating near the yacht. The mood shifts. This isn't just a comedy anymore, it's a murder mystery. When comedy meets crime and suddenly the game changes. Now it's not just about who is the real Jolly, but also who is the killer. The screenplay takes a dramatic turn as the characters, now suspects, try to piece together the events of the previous night. The body count starts to rise. The masked killer strikes again. The audience is taken through a series of red herrings, misleads, and suspenseful scenes that genuinely build tension. The sequences with the masked killer are surprisingly gripping. The filmmakers use lighting, camera angles, and background scores effectively. There's a certain finesse in these moments, a glimpse of what the film could have been if it focused on thriller rather than slapstick. But just when you start thinking the film has turned into an intelligent thriller, it throws you back into chaos. More characters arrive. Some are detectives, some are relatives, some don't even get introduced properly before being pulled into the madness. Dialogue overlaps, scenes are repeated with minor tweaks, and jokes are recycled like leftover food, the gimmick of dual endings. Here's where the film's biggest gimmick comes in, the dual endings. In Houseful 5A, the killer is one character. In Houseful 5B, it's someone else. The core story remains the same, but the final twist changes. It's a bold idea, experimental, fresh, and certainly buzzworthy. But in execution, it fails to elevate the film. Because the build-up to the climax, nearly 2 hours and 35 minutes, is the same in both versions. Only the last 10 minutes change. So essentially, you're watching a film twice just to see two different faces unmasked as the killer. That's not storytelling, that's marketing. And while the idea might intrigue the first time, it quickly becomes a tedious slog. The problem is that a different killer doesn't change the journey. The scenes, dialogues, subplots, all remain the same. There's no butterfly effect. No new perspective, just a different face behind the mask. Performances, a mixed bag. Let's talk performances. Akshay Kumar, a man whose comic timing has carried many average films, tries his best. In a few scenes, his natural humor shines through. You see glimpses of the old Akshay, witty, spontaneous, effortlessly funny. But these moments are few and far between. The script doesn't serve him well. Instead of giving him sharp punchlines or situational comedy, it drowns him in crass humor and adult jokes. Yes, that's another major problem, the film's tone. Houseful 5 was promoted as a family comedy, but the actual content is anything but. Vulgar dialogues, sexual innuendo, objectification of female characters, and a general lack of taste plague the screenplay. The jokes feel outdated and offensive. It's the kind of humor that belongs to a bygone era, forced and juvenile. One female character exists only to shed her clothes at the slightest breeze. Another is shown doing exaggerated seduction scenes purely for laughs. There's no depth, no arc, just props used for cheap entertainment. The foreigner angle is used as a distraction, their bad acting hidden behind their exotic looks. Even the veterans, Sanjay Dutt and Jackie Shroff, are reduced to comic fillers. Their characters had potential, especially considering the hype built around them in the trailer, but they are written as loud, foolish, and completely irrelevant to the central plot. Music, high energy, low relevance. The songs too are problematic. Individually, they're not bad. Some tunes are catchy and the choreography is flashy, but within the film, they arrive out of nowhere. Just as the suspense builds, a song appears and breaks the momentum. It's jarring and disjointed. Imagine a scene where the killer is being chased through the yacht. The tension is building, and then suddenly a dance number begins on the deck. It's that kind of inconsistency that breaks immersion, visuals, and technical aspects. Visually, the film is a treat. The sets are grand, the costumes flashy, and the locations exotic. The yacht set is beautifully designed with sweeping drone shots that give it a luxurious feel. The lighting in the murder sequences is particularly effective. The cinematographer deserves credit for balancing comedy and suspense visually, even if the story doesn't match up. The background score, especially during the thriller segments, is surprisingly effective. There's a haunting violin theme that plays whenever the masked killer appears. It elevates the tension and adds a layer of seriousness. Writing, a confused, crowded mess. And this is the core issue with Housefull 5. It doesn't know what it wants to be: a comedy, a thriller, a musical, a satire, a franchise tribute. It tries to be everything and ends up being nothing. The script is overcrowded. Too many characters, too many subplots, too many jokes, most of which don't land. There's a point where one character literally repeats the same line 3 times because the script couldn't find anything new for him to say. The murder mystery angle could have been brilliant, but instead of using it to explore character motivations or build suspense, it's treated like an afterthought. The killer's identity, in both versions, doesn't impact the story. It's just a final reveal, not a payoff. The gender problem. The treatment of female characters is also disappointing. They are either eye candy, damsels in distress, or caricatures. There's a scene where one of them is asked to distract a guard by dancing seductively. It's played for laughs but comes across as exploitative and lazy. In an age where audiences expect better representation, this feels regressive. What works? Akshay Kumar's natural charisma in a few scenes, the suspense element and masked killer plotline, the novelty of dual endings, a few well-composed songs, visually rich production design. What doesn't? Excessive adult content in a supposedly family film, poorly written characters and dialogues, waste of veteran actors, unfocused screenplay, gimmicky use of dual endings, outdated humor and gender stereotypes, inconsistent tone. Final verdict. Housefull 5 is a cinematic experiment that had potential. The idea of releasing 2 versions with different endings is bold and could have been revolutionary, but the film's content lets the idea down. It's not a film you'll remember for its story. You'll remember it for the absurdity, the chaos, and the frustration. And that's a shame, because buried beneath the confusion is a film that could have been something special. It's a wasted opportunity. The kind of film where you can see the potential in flashes, in a well shot scene, in a clever twist, in a performance, but those flashes are surrounded by mediocrity. Rating 2/5, 1 star for the innovative concept, 1 star for Akshay's few comic moments and the genuine suspense, but that's all. The rest is a forgettable carnival of noise, nonsense, and nudity. Watch it if you're curious, skip it if you value your time, avoid it with family. That's it for today's review. If you like this breakdown or want to discuss your version of the film, reach out on Instagram. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, take care and choose your screen time wisely.